Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's now safe to say we have a new villain group, and they are cool as fuck. Only going to be focusing on the main members though, cause there are some sub members that really don't matter, or they are just already dead and gone. The X organization, yes, that is their name, and considering their leader is called Slur, I probably should have expected much creativity. They are primarily a collective of rogue assassins. Some are order members in the making that never panned out, to say the least, and some we don't know shit about, other than they are extremely dangerous and deadly. Most villain groups have a main motive or theme of them being together. The Akatsuki trying to capture the tailed beast and commit mass genocide, while Pain makes you feel like he's doing something completely terrible and wrong, yet at the same time you're like, I can't even be mad at him for real. The Espada were 10 root causes of death that were ranked based on how strong they were from 10 to 1. The Phantom Troop grew up together, they experienced happiness and tragedy together, and targeted auctions in York New City, and they put in work. I won't speak of the manga too much because I just don't want to spoil folks who haven't gotten to that yet. The Homunculi, the Ten Commandments, the League of Villains, even though those last two I could care less about, all stand out in anime for having memorable moments or reasons for being together. The X organization have that same feeling, especially when it comes to presence on panel. Whenever you see a member, you just know shit's about to go down or something very important is about to be said. Let's look at the savages that encompass this group. Carolina Reaper. Little is known about him so far. He's shown to have some sort of fire breathing ability, and ironically, this motherfucker does not like peppers or spicy food. And just from appearance alone, he has probably the most mysterious looking design. And he is a weird mix of hot-headed and relaxed. Plus he has this odd dynamic with his brother, and no, before you think about it, it's not in a weird incest type of way. More so of like, he likes to be the one that tortures him and like nobody else can do it. I don't know. But if this type of character going to be explored, probably not. But he does fit the bill of that one member of the group who just off appearance, you'll always remember. Kuma Nomi, bad bitch personified. Her design is pretty modern, I guess, as you can describe it as that. You can tell she's supposed to be somewhat fashionable, but not too loud because she's an assassin at the end of the day. The gloves she wears is part of her ability. The gloves have an electromagnetic power attached to it, and like almost every character in the series, she gets very creative and resourceful with it. Her fight with Hio is one of the best fights in the series, I'd argue top 5 to be honest. You get the real full capacity of what she can do with her gloves, and I mean, she made her own railgun, and it actually puts in work. Already better than Kid. She's like the big sister of the group because even though she's kind of feared by people, she cares heavily for her comrades. Like when she found out Gaku was injured, the intensity ramped up a ton. That quick response of anger she had towards Heisuke because Heisuke didn't want to take a life shows that even though the series can be lighthearted at any given point, at the end of the day, you're going to kill someone and end them. Haruma. He came along with Kuma Nomi and he's pretty laid back. He just goes with the flow. He has a swirl on his face, almost like a target. Either it's just for the character design or there's a meaning behind this. He carries around a shot put ball and fucking spikes the shit out of his opponents, destroying everything in the course of the shot. This is who Kurasan should have on their team for real. And that's about it for him. He arrives, he spikes, and he leaves. Kanaguri, the cinema man and most expressive one of the bunch. I'm not gonna lie, he reminds me of you lowlifes on Twitter a little bit. A bunch of yapping with no substance attached to it. He's constantly looking for the right angle or shot for his movies that fit the bill of a Hollywood blockbuster. But he is still trusted by the leader enough to be a spy and join the order that was trusted in the task of finding some promising hostages. He's an eccentric style fighter as he uses a clapperboard to slice people, a big camera cannon that shoots energy blasts or beams and combines it with his speed. He has a very chaotic fighting style. And it's pretty fitting for a movie director that he has two of my favorite stages for a fight in the series, a theater and an airplane. And the airplane that also falls from the sky. It's really dope. He's definitely a member that will benefit heavily from an anime adaptation. It's dependent on the studio. You can get really creative with the character. He's one of the few X members who at the moment, he's been used a lot compared to the others. So you'll probably be seeing him a lot more going throughout the series. Kashima, the member who has had the most on panel time compared to probably everyone in the group. He's the first member revealed and has one of the coolest designs with the deer mask, which underneath that mask, he's like a puppet of carnage covered in stitches. He has swords, guns, hooks, and extends his own limbs to grab opponents. He has a twisted sense of morality though, almost to a hypocritical degree in my opinion, such as telling two of the bosses of the X's group to go kill Shishiba and Osaragi. And after Osaragi one-shots them, he cries and says they could have had families and they kill for no regard or reason. For him, his actions have meaning and purpose because he is following the leader's orders, someone he puts in a high pedestal. He's fully on board with the in-game mission of the group. He'll do whatever it takes to get the job done, even if he gets smacked around a lot, which in my opinion, I kind of wish he didn't get smacked around a lot. His character arc and portrayal has a lot of misdirection, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes, especially in the current arc and where he's at in the state of things. Now we have Gaku, the right-hand man. He's a cool ass character from design to personality. Even though he is an antagonist, there's honestly very little to dislike about him. Don't get it twisted though, he is the personification of violence and strength. Super strength and amaze can take you a long way. And it has for Gaku, because in the series there's not many who can seriously fight him, as they would just be overwhelmed by the force he brings in his fights. He enjoys killing so much like it's a game to him. You could say his character arc could be just a walking definition of what a strong assassin is. He's a character that's not really complex at all, but rather simple in the world that he lives in, which is a perfect dynamic next to the boss of the operations, who he's the complete opposite of that. And the man at the head of the table, Kei Uzuki, aka Slur. He has a cold demeanor and his eyes will be dead inside whenever they are in focus. You could say it's ironic, but in terms of effectiveness, probably not, that he wears a white sweater with a tan coat jacket. If it wasn't for his white hair, he just blend in with every other person in the background. Part of talking about Uzuki is going to require some spoilers of the manga, so if you aren't caught up, there's a timestamp you can skip to right here. In the flashback arc, Uzuki brings up the meaningless kills theme again when Ryan, Sakamoto, and Nagamo were fighting henchmen of the main targets they were going after. Yet at the same time, he views all killings as evil, seeming remorseful for the bloodshed that has been left behind that didn't really need to happen. With these types of character traits, Uzuki is still fearless in battle though, or confrontation. A high IQ in general, even telling Ryan how to follow a fast target, and he's younger than her. For a main antagonist, I think Slur's ceiling is higher than any character in the entire series. He wants to take down the order and restructure the assassin world into a better one. Something normally a villain would say and they sound crazy. But oddly enough, the way he portrays it to you, you really kind of understand his dilemma, and to at least to me, I'm not even mad at how he's going about it. It's more so just you're on the wrong side of things when it comes to the assassin world and we have to take you down. As a fighter, his speed is on par with Sakamoto and he's precise and powerful. We've only seen him fight one time and it was with Sakamoto. It was short, but it was enough to leave an impression that he is the real deal. Also, another pretty big spoiler if you aren't caught up. I'm going to give you some time to, skip ahead a little bit. This man has split personality. One when he does bad things, and I guess the normal for Uzuki, who also copied the patterns of Ryan Akao down to a T. From her mannerisms to her fighting style, even the certain faces she would make, he copied everything. Which is why someone like Shin, a mind reader, couldn't even use his ability effective on him because he was hearing multiple voices and he couldn't tell which one was the real Uzuki. This broadens his character arc, and man, it couldn't be any better for a leader for a main antagonist group. Invest in those Slur stocks, they're definitely gonna pay off. The X organization, for me, their potential is sky high. They have every trait that you would at least want from an antagonistic group. You have a believable leader who is going to be having a character arc that's going to be memorable. You have side characters within that organization that are either at least cool or interesting to read and follow on panel, or you got a guy who's just badass and will sometimes carry the group at times. But there's very, very few weak points in this organization in terms of how they're written, because Sakamoto Days in general isn't exactly a super complex read. There are elements to where it's hidden into how in-depth the characters and the writing can get, but for the overall series, it's just not like that. And having the X organization have such a variety of personalities and different contrasts and dynamics just within that group, it makes everything they're involved in that much more interesting. And of course, I'm putting this as the big new antagonistic group that's going to be probably the most popular going into the new generation, especially when it gets animated. I know some people will say, oh, well, what about this one? What about that one? I probably haven't seen them, especially if they're new manga. I just haven't paid attention to them like that. Regardless, leave a like if you enjoy. Comment down below how you feel about this group, and if you think that my expectations are either too high or too low for them. I'll y'all in the next one. Peace.